Hey guys, today's story is about a truly nightmarish murder-hobo rogue. Let me set the scene. It was 2003. The game was D&D 3.5. I was at the Job Corps, with a group of players that I had formed months before. My center had this stupid rule about RPGs that only got ended after the summer break, so I was ecstatic to be able to start running a group without fearing having my books taken from me. If you're curious why RPGs were banned, it was because, evidently, in the early 90s people were using the polyhedron dice to gamble, and another DM had used the game as a way to socially engineer the other people around him and manipulate them to do things for him, in real life, in exchange for in-game rewards. It took 6 long months of campaigning against my center director, but he finally caved. So without further ado, the cast. Most of them were not important, but it goes like this. Myself, the DM, a human paladin who will be known as HP, the dwarven fighter who will be known as DF, the elven cleric who will be known as EC, the lizard folk warlock who will be known as LW, and of course Edgelord, playing a human rogue. I want you to think of the most brooding,
Both my parents are dead.
the world is pain and misery, dressed from my eyeballs to toes in all black, speaks in a gruff whisper, and never has anything positive to say character. Black hair, black eyeshadow, grim tattoos, always huddled in some corner, and constantly whining about anything happening. I was running a homebrew game. It took place in a fictional Pangea-like world where there was only one single continent, and a great dark castle at its center. The continent was broken into 9 kingdoms that spawned when the last true king died, and the true crown was shattered. The party was on a mission, started by a shared vision they all had to meet up and restore the sundered true crown and end the War of the 9 Kingdoms by restoring the one true nation back to its glory. Simple, right? On the day in question, the party was on the road to recover the 7th piece of the crown, appropriately housed in a keep of a lord residing in the 7th Kingdom. The party had arrived at a jolly and friendly forest town, population of about 500, to rest on the way to this keep, only about 100 miles away from their current location. The town was quaint. Good old friendly forest folk always willing to share their food and lodgings to adventurers. Good music, good feelings. Think the plottings from the Dark Crystal, a very close-knit, trusting people. Our party arrived at the town's inn, and settled into ordering some food and drink for the night. This place, it's wonderful. I love it here. Remind me, after all of this is said and done, to open a church here. I think I would like to retire here. Aye, laddie. This place is bonny, that be for sure. Nothing like me old mines, but I like it. You know, for people to live above ground. They're all so peaceful, man. Blessed be to thy goddess, man, that she has looked after this town and its people. It's refreshing to find a town not ravaged by war, plagues, famine, or death, man. You said it. My people live in a swamp. We eat bugs and catfish. I worship demons, and this place is the most welcome I've ever felt. People haven't judged me for my profession or race once since I've come in. Honestly, I could cry. This is amazing.
It's fine, I guess. If you're into crappy music, crappy beer, homely women, even uglier men, food that feels the need to include potatoes with every dish, and homes that probably haven't been cleaned this decade.
These people have been nothing but kind to us. We aren't being asked to pay a single copper for any of this. Our room and board has been comped for us. What's with the attitude? He's right. What's gotten into your breeches, laddie? Honestly, you're braying more than a wounded mule. Like, you're really dampening my vibe, man. I literally make deals with demons, and even I don't spit in the face of free stuff. What the heck, man? Edgelord, the player, shuffles in his seat, folding his arms and crossing his legs to pantomime his character's posture.
You wonder why it's free? Because it's garbage. This whole town isn't worth our time. The mission barely is. The beds probably have parasites living in them, and this food is probably old and unlikely bland since it appears these peasants have only discovered 3 spices to put in their food. I whine because I want to get this done. This mission is barely making me any money, and to be honest, I just want to get back to killing people. This is getting so boring.
The players at this point begin to bicker with Edgelord in character, and a little out of character. Since Edgelord couldn't portray anything other than what we figured was his real-life attitude, he seemed to behave in exactly the same manner. I decide, as I have done with every end state, to roll on my homebrew chart of random encounters. I rolled a 23. That meant a small thieving child attempts to pickpocket one of the players. I roll randomly to see who is affected, and unfortunately, the edgelord drew the short stick. While the characters bicker with him, a young thieving child from the village decides to attempt to steal from the edgelord. Being a rogue, it's very difficult for the child to do this. Of course, the child rolls low and fails to pickpocket. The edgelord rolls very high on his spot check to notice the thief in action. This is where things start heading south.
You little punk! I'll teach you to steal from me!
Edgelord demands initiative. At present, since the others at the table have only just noticed what is going on, they hold their actions to see what is about to go down. The edgelord beats out the thieving kid's initiative. The edgelord, out of character.
I'm going to initiate a grapple for my first maneuver.
Okay, you do have improved grapple, so no attack of opportunity. He rolls his attack, and succeeds by far. You've succeeded. How do you grapple him? By the shirt? Neck? How are you holding him?
I take him by the wrist. Now that I got his wrist, I want to make an attack roll, after quick drawing my dagger, to slam it into his hand and pin it to the table.
The players at the table visibly wince. Okay, I suppose that would count as a specialized roll. He rolls a nat 20, and a sick grin crosses his face. I proceed to describe how he grabbed the poor boy's hand, and slammed his dagger from tip to crossguard through the boy's hand, pinning it to the wooden table like a tent stake. The boy screams, the music stops, and the party spits out their drinks onto the table, and begin to jump into action. Each party member rolls initiative to join into the combat. Paladin and Warlock go first. Edgelord after that, and then everyone else. Stop! The Paladin yells commandingly, before storming over to attempt to restrain the edgelord. Having a superior bonus to this roll, he attempts a grapple check to grab the edgelord. After contested rolls, he managed to grapple him. Now I do declare, what in tarnation are you doing? The Warlock conjures black tentacles from the ground to aid in the grappling of the rogue. These also succeed due to compounding penalties.
Mind your own business, you jerks.
The edgelord attempts an escape artist check to escape all the grapples, and fails. Since he could use it as a move action, he decides to try to stab the child. The human paladin asks me, out of character, if he can use a little of what was left of his move action to step into the blade and take the attack. He said he'd allow it to be a hit and a sneak attack so long as the boy was safe from harm. I decided that seemed fair, but for the sake of doubt, I said for another contested pair of grapple checks to be rolled. Once more, Paladin comes out on top. and takes the dagger right to the heart. To speed things along, the others and many of the inn patrons dogpile atop of the edgelord, while the other patrons go to the child's rescue. They extract the dagger, and the elven cleric heals the boy's wound. When the chaos died down, what city guards the town had demanded that the party had appear before the mayor immediately, and they went, and an on-the-spot trial was held due to the nature of the attack. To shorten that down, the mayor heard a testimony from edgelord and everyone else. He said that while stealing was not okay, and the boy would be given punishment for it, the actions of the rogue were absolutely inexcusable. Since they didn't really have a jail, they said that the party would be allowed to only stay the night, since it was too late in the day now to travel the roads, and from then on, the whole party would be banished so long as they associated with edgelord. Edgelord just smiled out of character. He then rolled a bluff check, which was another nat 20, to assure the mayor he was sorry. Made this sob story about being fatigued from months of travel and daunted by their task. And the thief had just made him snap. The mayor bought it, but didn't remove the punishment. He said that the party would be escorted out of the town and their names added to the list of banned people. Edgelord seemed fine in and out of character with this. When it was time for the characters to all go to bed, Edgelord stayed awake, waiting till he knew everyone was asleep. He crept, succeeding in his massive move, silently check, to move about and ensure all were asleep. Once this was done, he began to make his way through town. He snuck into every house and slit the throat of every man, woman, and child in the whole town. Then the guards, and finally the mayor. After that was done, he kidnapped the thieving child from his bed and dragged him outside of town, where he proceeded to tie the boy to a tree, douse him in lamp oil, and burn him alive. He even produced sausages to roast over the burning boy's body as he laughed with glee at what he had done. My players were understandably apoplectic. They were so utterly disgusted and appalled both out of character and in character when their characters woke to find the carnage. But by then, the rogue had stolen their horses and rode off into the countryside, taking the 6 pieces of the crown and all their gear with him, leaving them with nothing. The game died after that, and we booted edgelord from the group. He bragged for weeks until he shipped out of the core about how he killed our game and ruined our fun. He really was a jerk. Well, guys, as per usual, it really boils down to the DM having let a lot of this happen. And from what I can see of a lot of what the DM was saying in the comments, hindsight is 2020. He has learned his lesson. He knows now better of how to counter such things. And hopefully through stories like this, if you are a player or a DM, these stories will actually help you either avoid or remedy these situations. But in any case, guys, that's the end of the video, and if you have a story that you'd like me to narrate, let me know. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.
This place, it's wonderful. I love it here.